Have you ever thought, while watching a movie, what it would be like as a video game? How would the gameplay look? How do you put a 90-minute movie plot into a video game? And what about the genre? What's up everyone? This is Nightclub Play. Today we are gonna talk about Alien Isolation, which takes the best from a 1979 Ridley Scott original movie. I'm not gonna lie, I am a huge Alienverse fan and also a survival horror fan. That's why when my friend gave me the Isolation CD, I ditched everything for a whole week and played like a madman. The game left such impact on me that I decided to live through those feelings of utter horror and helplessness again. So now you're gonna experience these feelings too. Get comfy, we're about to go on a real creepy space journey.
We get to shut the book. Ripley.
There have been other Alienverse games before, but it's difficult to call them groundbreaking. After a failure that was Colonial Marines, the spin-off needed rehabilitation. The potential hit turned out to be a flop, even though it had all the possibilities to become successful. So after Colonial Marines, one of the latest Alienverse games, failure, Sega had to think of something to save the situation, and at last present the fans a really worthy project. Surprisingly, Creative Assembly showed up out of nowhere with a tech demo, and Sega went for it. Actually, Creative Assembly has been working with Total War series strategic games for many years, so employees were super excited to work with the different genre. And that's when they decided to try out something new and offered Sega and 20th Century Fox to produce an Alienverse game. Other companies took their inspiration from James Cameron's action-packed Alien, but Creative Assembly were more creative in a way that they decided to base their game on Ridley Scott's Alien to make it a pure, spine-tingling horror. 20th Century Fox loved that idea and sealed the deal with Sega without a question. The company gave the developers all the movie-related materials from the archive. Some of them have never been published. So the developers got early concept art, costumes, the original film and thousands of behind-the-scenes photos. The development team wanted to be fully immersed in the movie's atmosphere, to recreate it in the game, so that's why they have watched the movie like a million times, but even that was not enough for them. They had TVs in the studio where the Alien movie was playing non-stop. Some other developers didn't even watch other movies to not let their minds wander from the game's concept. And concept artists had that unbreakable rule: the game visualization must be as dark and chilling as the first Alien movie. Also, Creative Assembly wanted to make it a third-person game, but eventually decided against it, because it doesn't make you feel truly immersed in the atmosphere. During the tests, players didn't feel any fear for themselves. They were more worried about the character, but with the first person, they started to feel more anxious about whether or not there's something scary around the corner. But the best part is that instead of checking only using the camera angle, they had to actually move their character to see for themselves. There were also other game mechanics that the developers had to give up at some points. For example, weapon crafting or aliens' acid blood. In the original Alien movie, xenomorphs had liquid oozing out of them. They could easily corrode skin or even the ship's material. For some time, Creative Assembly wanted to make this acid blood work in the gameplay, but eventually had to drop it, because it would have been kinda tricky to recreate all the holes on the walls and floors. Finally, after 4 years of hard work, the game was released and it was warm welcomed by players and critics alike. Let's see if it was really that good. Usually, the first thing you pay attention to is graphics, but if we are talking about Alien Isolation, we'll certainly start with sound effects. The dark and frightening movie atmosphere had always been accompanied by suitable soundtracks or sound effects. Creative Assembly did a great job at conveying this atmosphere of creeping terror through music and the credit song, making you feel anxious and excited. All in all, it makes you feel the same spectrum of emotions that people felt in cinemas while watching the movie in 1979. At the same time, while you're trying to hide from an alien and you need to stay extra focused to hear any sound indicating its presence. Those sounds may be kinda distracting, but nothing too serious, since you can always turn them off in the settings. The graphics too are quite impactful. The design was heavily inspired by the original movie. Every detail, like industrial narrow station corridors, computers that look like vintage TVs, details droplets of sweat of characters' faces, smoke and fog effects, make the game even more thrilling, just like a real movie. The isolation makes you feel on edge all the time. Glimpses of light, shadows from the closest planets, sinister sounds that come out of nowhere, make you feel the bubbling anxiety and uneasiness throughout the game. And that's even before you meet the alien. After that, things get even more fun. Even though you know the cause of your nightmares, nobody says it's a pleasant experience to see it. The invincible creature is always lingering somewhere near you. You can only save your progress at certain places. All of these things make your brain go wild and think in advance what your next step is going to be. During the first hours of the game, you check the motion tracker all the time. When you hear mildly suspicious sounds with shaking hands, you start to look for a place to hide. You check every dark corner in fear to find there a creature that wants, to brutally murder you. To make the game even more connected to the Ridley Scott original movie, Creative Assembly decided to make Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda, the main character. Her character wasn't really explored in the series. She was only showed once on a photograph in Cameron's movie. So, the plot takes place on December 2137, 15 years after the disappearance of Nostromo. Amanda, just like her mother, works for Violent Mutiny and never gives up hope to find out what has happened to Alien. Violent Mutiny Corporation representative Samuel approaches Amanda to tell her that Isidora found the flight recorder from her mother's ship and delivered it to Sevastopol station. So Amanda, Samuels and Violent Mutiny lawyer Nina Taylor decide to travel there on Thornton's cargo ship. But the wreckage from Sevastopol ruined the EVA line, and Amanda is left at the station without the others.
Just keep moving! Taylor, Ripley, hold on!
After successfully getting inside, Amanda finds the station abandoned and in utter chaos. The station that was supposed to be a home for a thriving society is now nothing but ruined with people trying to survive through banditism. By the time Amanda arrives, there is already an alien there that's already gotten a chance to chew on some of the people at the station. Obviously, Amanda wasn't really ready to fight the creature, so at first, your weapon is your bravery and courage. You will have to find weapons and necessary tools yourself. As the prologue ends, the game is less about the plot and more about the atmosphere and the setting that set the mood. Of course, there are points that move the plot forward, but if we are talking about constant cutscenes and characters' development, there's not much going on for real. You learn about what happened at the station not through dialogues, but rather through terminals and audio logs, and it depends only on you, whether you are ready to risk your life to read a message in the open, or you're just gonna speedrun all the levels, not pushing your luck. So your main goal is to survive and if possible find out what happened at the station all those years ago. But surviving is what we are mostly doing in the game. Everything at the station wants to kill you. The people who lost their minds because of the constant fear they were living in, metandroids, the collapsion station, and last but not least the xenomorph party maker. And the best part, you can't kill it, you can only scare it off with fire or molotovs. If it sees you, you're done for, because it's almost impossible to escape. The only way to survive is to play hide and seek with this extremely sly creature. Closets and drawers are our best friends now, and save points, sterilize as telephones, bring you so much joy and peace, better than any sedative out there. Amanda really isn't keen on using weapons, and most of the game is pure stealth, where you are hiding from the alien. Even if you have a flamethrower or molotovs, it doesn't mean they are infinite. But if you want some action or shooting, don't worry, you will certainly have an opportunity as there are a lot of unfriendly people and androids. Also, I just have to mention the motion tracker. Although it doesn't really look like the original motion tracker, all in all, it's the same thing. Without it, it's kinda impossible to know your arch-nemesis whereabouts. The alien crawls and roams quite fast through ventilation and rooms, so you better put the device into good use. Although it may be dangerous at some points, because it makes so much noise you start to believe this device wants you dead too. Let's not forget that Amanda is an engineer. Throughout her journey, she stumbles upon different blueprints of useful items like a noisemaker, a smoke bomb, a medkit, and all that she can craft from material at hand. If we are talking about other video games, it's curious how our main antagonist is one of a kind. It's special in a way that you actually encounter it all the time, but only few of these dates are scripted, and other times the creature is purely directed by a program's IA, which doesn't know its place locations for sure, so the alien is constantly looking for anybody to jump. It makes all the encounters differ. The game rewards you for being attentive, as the alien can simply attack from around the corner, or wait for you in ventilation and jump you the moment you're under it. The noises you make can also attract the creature. You shouldn't be running around, and you definitely shouldn't shoot or throw bombs just for the hell of it. Of course, you can use noise as a bait to avert aliens' attention with a flashbang. The best and a little assholish thing to do is use a flashbang when you encounter other humans. That way you will attract the xenomorph and please him with a nutritious meal. Just don't forget to run or hide. As long as you hear screaming, you are safe. Unfortunately, there were some malfunctions. One of them is the alien's inability to sometimes see Amanda, even if she is right in front of it, or when it touches her with its tail, or the alien turns a blind eye when Ripley hides in a closet, slamming the door right in front of its salad. But don't you dare think that the alien is some kind of a loser. No, it actually learns from its mistakes, unlike your ex. It learns how to hunt you more effectively, or how to dodge molotovs or the flamethrower if you use them often. These abilities actually make you believe that you are living through a real survival experience rather than a video game. It is though quite unsettling that the clingy alien prefers our company rather than traveling around the huge station and hunting other humans. There are times when Ripley doesn't even have time to catch her breath. When she travels on an elevator from one area to another, she immediately has to start running or hiding again. Also, talking about other enemies, humans are hostile towards everyone, and the droids, which are supposed to be kind, turned into mad-killing machines with their eyes, always ready to choke Amanda. What makes your gaming experience interesting, you ask? Well, the developers are quite creative with that one. You see, all the enemies use different methods to kill you. If humans use weapons, androids try to take the upper hand in combat, and never forget that so much noise will 100% attract the xenomorph. So, if you want to survive, you absolutely have to hide from any enemy type. Yeah, it doesn't sound oh so nice, but don't be afraid, you aren't the only sane person there. You'll be meeting all kinds of allies throughout your journey. They will be giving you useful loot, weapons, or they will be telling you all about the catastrophe that occurred at the station. Most of the game's locations are dark, complicated corridors that resembles labyrinths. At first, you find a locked door, then you look for a key on the other side of a corridor, then you come back to that door, take everything you need from there, and then you run as fast as you can, because you know your dedicated fan is always there, ready to hunt. The developers also thought of some ways to make the game even more fun and exciting. For example, some doors are locked with a special lock that can only be opened with a maintenance jack, and some locks can be unlocked with a gas storage. Also, you constantly need to upgrade the gas storage to open more complicated mechanisms. If you feel like you want to experiment a little, you can use rewire boxes. You can use them to distribute energy, to turn on or off something that could help you hide or distract the alien. One of the rewire box's features allows you to turn off air purification. Sure, it makes the air clean and transparent, but without it, it will be difficult for the creature to locate you. You can also turn an alarm on or cut the power from the cameras with an alarm. All in all, these features are supposed to be of help in any situation. Alien Isolation doesn't have an autosave feature, or in other words, unlike present games, Alien Isolation autosave the progress at the beginning of each level. If you want to save your progress mid-level, you will have to use a special terminal. It's not hard to find one, they make distinctive sounds when you are near them. But, of course, it doesn't mean you will be able to save your progress without your personal stalker being ready to rip you apart. Although, the device also informs you if the alien is somewhere near. The game is perfectly balanced, the pace can be dynamic or steady, it doesn't go overboard with action or with the lack of it. The game makes you feel truly involved through small details, or through involvement in the life of Sevastopol Station. But what made me really love it? The rhythm of the game. You decide for yourself what it's gonna be. You want more action and life-threatening situations? Sure, attack all the enemies openly and be ready to face the consequences. You want the game to feel more safe and steady? Great, be as stealthy as possible, hide inside ventilation, hide anywhere you can to prevent a heart attack. In fact, all the levels in the game are quite diverse. My favorite part of the game is the one where you have a full-scale battle in the alien's nest with its eggs and goo and face huggers trying to jump your face all the time. So you have the best of everything from Ridley Scott's original movie in this battle. True fans will most definitely appreciate the developer's idea to include the landing on Planetoid LV-426 from the first movie in the game. There you will be able to explore not only the surface, but also the spacecraft, the room with the founder's corpse in it and spacecraft's hull with alien's eggs. Creative Assembly recreated everything that terrified and excited all the spectators from that time. All in all, you can say that all those details and locations don't make you more scared, but rather make you feel more anxious and empathetic towards Amanda. The gameplay isn't the one you can call boring. Between action-packed episodes, with Xenomorph or Central Reactor overloading, you got to listen to Personal's audio logs and read their text material to relax a little. Playing Isolation, going through different locations took my breath away. Yeah, that's what the game was for me. A breathtaking experience. Playing for the first time, you can spend a lot of time being pleasantly surprised by the gameplay, the setup, attentiveness to the original source, the excellent design that resembles the original movie, and meticulous work on environmental details creates an atmosphere of despair and fear. Tough and intense gameplay, graphics, the soundtrack are all top-notch. The developers released a DLC with survival mods, in which you will have to start learning the rules of survival from the beginning. The locations have been radically updated, so if you think you know Sevastopol like the back of your hands, think again. Firstly, there's no map in this mod, you'll have to memorize everything yourself. Secondly, there's very little useful items and ammo. The best case scenario is if you find fuel for the flamethrower. Thirdly, there is no such thing as progress saving in these mods. One wrong move and your number one fan, aka the alien, kills you and you start right from the beginning. Also, there are missions on each level that you will have to do within a certain amount of time, and taking that you can't really rush in this game. Well, you will have to think ahead. die, make mistakes and learn from them again. I was sorry for the person I became when I first saw Crew Expendable and Last Survival. In those missions you play as Parker, Dallas or Ellen Ripley from the original movie. The plot takes place after Brett's death. Playing as one of the characters, your mission is to isolate the alien that got onto Nostromo. In the Last Survival, you will have to activate the self-destruct system and escape on the shuttlecraft Narcissus, all while being chased by the alien. So let me tell you, it's not every day that you get to experience Ridley Scott's creation and participate in a mission to save the planet. I believe a lot of fans will agree. This mod actually helps you really see how much work Creative Assembly put into creating such magnificent AI. Each time you go through the same mission, you find yourself in circumstances that differ one from another. The alien is as unpredictable as an AI can be, but still has patterns it tries to follow. The only way you can survive is to understand the way this bloodthirsty creature thinks. And believe me, it's not that easy. It's true that Alien Isolation is not also perfect, with all its small glitches and bugs. Maybe it's not a complete realization of the developer's idea, but it's still very good and the best in the Alienverse. The game got numerous nominations and wins, and also won the best game from some publishers and magazines. I was extremely happy to find out that there will be a sequel. Small Screen shares, citing its sources close to Disney, that the company has given the green light to the development of Alien Isolation 2. Right now, the game is at early stages of production. The script is being written, and Disney already has a studio for production in mind. Spoiler, it's not Creative Assembly, which is kinda sad. The first game was a chef's kiss. Even for those who are not interested in the Alienverse games, it might be worth playing. Yeah, it was long since something significant happened to the franchise, but I just couldn't ignore my favorite game and not make a review. Hope this video made you at least a little interested in the Alien Isolation. Make sure to share your opinion in the comments, give us your precious likes, and most definitely subscribe to learn more about your favorite games. Until next time, see you then!